Make sure that you check us out at 16levels.com. We have a masterclass for the MPC Live 3 available, and we have 30% off. That's an automatic discount at checkout, so you don't have to worry about punching any codes or anything like that. And the link will be in the description box. And we're going to talk about MPCe. MPCe. Yeah, I have to say it like that so that the closed caption gets it right and not say NPC as it should there. But other than that, we're going to talk about the quadrants and how they function, because there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do, and I want to lay it out in detail. So if you are a member over there at 16levels.com, you should see this, as well as YouTubers right now. So when you look at the MPC Live 3 fresh out of the box or whatnot, you'll notice that these boxes have corners over here. So these are called quadrants, and that's how they work. And if you just load up one sound, you don't have to worry about the quadrants working or anything like that, because this kit does not function in that manner. So what you want to do, and what we're going to do, is go to main menu or just menu button, and we're going to go to a new project, and then we'll select the empty project. So let's select the empty project right here. It says new project. We'll go with that, and it should load up a trap kit MPCe. And amongst investigation, let's go ahead and hit full level on there. You'll notice that they're set up some quadrants here. So this is like the default stuff, or at least on mine. And it has a whole bunch of functionality that you'll see. And so you can populate these quadrants through the layers. So that's exactly how these quadrants work. And you can also link them to other pad banks over here. But as you can see, there's nothing linked into those pad banks. And that's what we're going to get into right now. So for this instance here, all we have to do is we're going to go ahead and delete this track and then make a new track. And then we're going to make a drum track. So the drum track will give you empty pads, and you'll see that the MPCe is fully functioning, but it's not anything there. And if you want to load up sounds, it's simple. So what we'll do here is load up some sounds into these pads. How do you do so? Well, load, you just hit load. You can go into places, go into any folder that you have on your SD card or on your hard drive or wherever else that you have sounds. And then we'll go into a specific folder. I found this folder here of these drum kits that I like to use from time to time. What I'll do is go and start with loading up a kick. I'll find a kick that I like. I like this kick. And then all you have to do is, if you hit a pad, you can just go ahead and load it, or you can choose load to pull. We'll just go ahead and load it for right now into this pad, because we know we want that kick to be over here. And now we can hear the kick. And I will rinse and repeat the process. I'll put a snare right here, and then I'll put hi-hats and different cymbals and stuff like that around in here. So I like this snare. I'll go ahead and go to this pad, touch the pad, and then hit load. Alternatively, if you hear like some snares that you like, but you don't want to put them in a pad, let's go ahead and do load to pull, and then it'll be in your sample assign. This is where you can get access to your sample pool. So if I like this right here, I'll go ahead and just select it. And then I would go to that corresponding pad, and then I would hit the data wheel down, and it will load that snare. And if you want to change stuff around, then you can go ahead and do that as well. And if you want to go out of sample assign, you will hit this tab right here again, and it'll bring you right back into your directory. Now we have drums in the pads, and you'll notice that they're a little bit loud, and we want to mix them down. And the easiest thing to do in this instance here is to press and hold the touch strip button, and then we're going to select pad level. So when we go and hit a pad, we can adjust them. And we'll adjust them in real time. We don't necessarily mix down our kicks or anything like that. We want them kicks to hit, or at least that's how I like them. Alternatively, I still have empty pads. What I want to do here is just go into the content tab and then hit the drums, and then I can just type in something. I'll just go with the the classic drums. Then I'll type in like 808 or something like that. And then once I type in 808, you'll see we have a mirror to stuff right over here. And I like that. So I like that sound right here. What I'll do is I'll just press on this pad and then I'll load it into that pad. Boom. So now, now that we have everything set up for success, I guess the only thing we got to cover right here in terms of loading sounds, you see that the pads are all yellow. Once I exit out, they'll be green and the waveform will correlate with that. What I want to do is just go into menu here and then I'll hit the arrow, right arrow that will bring us over here to this screen where you can set up the pad colors. The thing I want to show you is single pad. So let's go into single pads and then it'll turn everything off. What I want to do is just make the kicks red. Then I'll make the snares yellow or yellowish, or maybe a different color, orange. And then I'll make the hi-hats like yellow or something like that, something identifiable so I know that everything is there. And then I had a symbol right up here. So, and as a bonus, I'll just go ahead and set up, you know, some blue, maybe a little darker, I guess, something a little darker. They'll be dim on your screen or whatnot because there's nothing in those pads. And then, you know, you can set up, you know, your samples right here. And then if you want, like, let's say, for instance, you wanted the bass to be right here, you can just make it green. Once you're done, all you have to do is just hit main. Now that we have that established, what I want to do is show you the edit button. You just hit the edit button, which will bring you into your sample or editing options for that program or that track. Let's just say track for this instance so we don't mess anything up. You'll notice the colors will go away. Don't be afraid. And then you'll notice right off top within the samples tab, the first dot, that you'll have layers. So you can do multiple layers. But what I want to show you is the effects tab. So once we go over here to the effects tab, we need to go ahead and tab again to the second dot. And then you see articulations right here. So this is where things can get mighty tricky. So you want to turn on your articulation, then you have access to different articulations that will be on that pad. As I hit the quadrants, you'll see it cycle through the quadrants here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is your quadrant. So you want to set it up in that manner. So for instance here, if I wanted to do some triplets or something like that, then I will go to this tab right over here where it says none. Then I'll set up some note repeats. I could do some other things. So if I did 4, you see it hits 4 times. If you want to get faster time signatures, of course, you will go up. So that's how they correlate in that instance here. So if I was doing like 32, it will do it with the BPM. So the BPM of this track right now is at 128. So you got to be mindful of that. And that's how you basically mess with your quadrants. So in theory, it'll sound like this when I'm messing with it. And I can continue to do this with every one of the quadrants. Like if I wanted something like, I don't know, let's see what we can experiment with rudiments, or actually some rolls. Let's go ahead and do basic roll. And that's actually cold. So I'll just go over here and set up this for a basic roll or a basic roll fluid. A nice trick that I want to show you here is going to your hi-hats. And obviously this is cheating basically, because you could just set up your note repeat to be like 16. But as you can see, you can have your hi-hats just be constant while you finger drum and, you know, do your thing on Instagram or whatever. Also, one thing I would like to point out is that you can do this. You can finger tap with your finger. Now you can see the relevance of using the quadrants within a live performance or just for making beats too. But there are other things that need explaining. So what I'm going to do here is just press and hold the touch strip option over here, the button, and then I'll just turn it off so I don't mess up any of my mixing or anything like that. There is speed. So if you adjust the speed here, it makes it faster. In reverse to that, you can do dynamics as well. You can also change the stereo widening. So you can have some funky stuff going on. Also, you have speed scale. So you can lower the time division if you just roll with 1 or 2. By default, it's on 1 time, so that, you know, it works exactly the same way as time stretching and stuff like that. But I want to go deeper in the rabbit hole because, yeah, you can do XY effects too. So if you're familiar with the XY effects on the existing MPCs, then yeah, you're going to love this. So first, I'm going to go ahead and just go back into the load button and the loading screen, and then go and find the sample. Since I have a full-on 16 bar loop here, what I'll do is I'll put it to 1 bar with 3 beats at time division 1/8, so I can fill out those chops, and then I'll convert them over per usual. If you're wondering what I mean by convert, what I usually do is shift, and then I press convert on the touchscreen, and then over here I just use assign slice. So in particular here, I'm going to cancel out, and I'll pick out this pad right here, and then I'll just go back into shift, convert, and then I'll assign that to this pad right here. So I hit do it, and then it will continue to process until I'm done here. So I'll do that, and then go into, oops, not that, sample edit, and then go into convert, and then I assign that to this pad, boom. And if you want to see how it will look like in, of course I got to set up the mute groups because they'll overlap, but that's for another video, or check out the masterclass. I'm done setting up the sample the way I want. I'll just go back into edit, then I'll go into global over here, and then I'll just press a pad. Then I'll set up the mute group over here. I'll do mute group number 2 just to be safe. So I'll continue the process until I have them all done. And as you can see, I set up my mute groups. Now from here, I'll just go over to effects, and matter of fact, I'll go over an arrow, and then we'll go into the mod matrix. Now the mod matrix is where things get tricky, but also this is where you want to experiment. So with this sample, I want to make this filter in and out because I know people have requested that. So next thing I want to do is just go into the MPCe, then I'll select pad Y because I want to use up and down instead of like this way, which is X, I guess, back and forth. And I will set up a target to be the filter. I believe it'll be like filter envelope amount. And so we'll do a filter envelope amount here. I know I'm just messing around. And then the via source will be, I believe, MPCe. We'll go with MPCe, or actually, I think it'll make more sense if I did filter envelope. So I'll do filter envelope. So that way it can kind of, from the top on down, I can slide it, and you can see it on the screen that is actually working. But the reason why it's not working in full effect is because we got to go over here to mod, and then for mod, we'll just set up a filter envelope, attack, and then filter, and you can kind of hear it. We'll just adjust accordingly. So I'll turn it up a little bit. So overall, let's give it a spin. Let's work with it. And I'm going to go ahead and turn down the BPM so it's at the BPM that I want it to be. That's all I got for you, but you can kind of just see the potential in that. I'm no Beast by Jake Black or anything like that. So